Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the DraftKings 3-game slate for the Call of Duty League that is going to be taking place today, Saturday, June the 5th. This slate consists of 3 games between the Toronto Ultra, the Dallas Empire, that is match number 1. The second match is the Optic Chicago against the Paris Legion, and the third match is the Minnesota Rocker against the Seattle Surge. We're going to be discussing all 3 of these matchups here today in this video. I'm going to be discussing the odds, what I think about them, the DraftKings salaries, and who I think are the best value plays for you to put in your lineup to hopefully help you make money this weekend playing the Call of Duty League. So with that being said, let's start off talking about our first team here. We have the Toronto Ultra that is going up against the Royal Ravens. Now, if you guys have been catching up, with the Call of Duty League, you know that the Toronto Ultra is the second best team in the league right now, just behind the Atlanta FaZe, and they've been smoking everybody left and right. So as you can see here by the video, they smoked the Dallas Empire in their previous game that they played, their previous match. They smoked them hot 3-0. I do believe that the Toronto Ultra is going to win this match again in a similar fashion against the terrible Royal Ravens. I don't know what the London Royal Ravens are doing with their team. They've changed their team like 4 times already. They've went from bad to good and good to bad. They switched up their players. They removed 2 players. They added Afro and Alex back into the lineup. Afro's a new player, but they added Alex back into the lineup, who is a terrible player in my opinion. He's really never posted any good numbers in any of his games. Against Dallas, he posted a good stat line, but that was like so rare. Alex isn't a good player. I don't know why they put him back in. Maybe, contract obligations or something. I don't know. But London Royal Ravens are not looking good. So I have all the confidence in the world that Toronto are going to come out here with a hot 3-0, win this series, and get every player here a 40-point bonus in the fantasy points department. With that being said, it's safe to say I'm not going to touch anybody in the London Royal Ravens. I mean, you could do it in a GPP lineup, where you have a lot of entries and, you want to make a super unique lineup. But in cash games, man, even in GPP lineups, I would not touch London Royal Ravens for anything. I just feel like it's just too hard to call. The team is not going to really do good unless it goes to like a 3-2. None of these players are going to get great fantasy points. So, London Royal Ravens is not a good team. And on the other side, Toronto Ultra is the second best team in the league right now. So, with that being said, I do think that the best value in the Toronto Ultra team it's probably going to have to be Bant. Bant has been one of those players that has absolutely turned around his game since the first stage of the major. He was doing terrible in the first stage of the major, very bottom tier player. And now he's posting up, I would say, fairly consistently, several hundred fantasy point games. I mean, he doesn't do too shabby for his price tag. He helps his team win. And he's in a very dominant team now, so he's going to, have that reflect in his price. And if he's at a very cheap price at 8,000 for a team that is considered to get a 3-0 sweep or is favored to get a 3-0 sweep here in this position, I would say that Bance is a very good player to either have in your flex spot or in your captain spot, whichever one you feel is best. I also do feel that player like Cammy at 9,600 is a very good play. Cammy has one of the most impressive stat lines here in all of DraftKings for the Call of Duty League. Cammy, if you look at his stat sheet, his past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and his last 8 fantasy point charts for his last 8 games, he has 7 100 fantasy point plus games, and with the highest one of those being against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. He's just an absolute monster for this team. Uh, it's just Cammy at under 10,000 is just unreal value. I always, favorite him at under 10,000. Sometimes in matchups where he should be good, he doesn't produce, but it's very rarely. Like against Florida, he got 53 fantasy points. That was weird. I mean, they lost against Florida, but when they win, he goes off most of the time. So I would assume that Cammy here is going to be of a good value. But taking advantage of what I said, that the two cheapest players on the winning team would probably be a decent, choice to go with. I would say Bounce and Kleenex would have to definitely be the best value plays here for this matchup, since Kleenex is also one of those players who's been fairly consistent out of his, last eight games. I would also say that he has six 100 plus fantasy point games. And he's been relatively cheap. His last game he was priced at 7,800, and now he's priced at 8,600. So almost a $1,000 dollar leap, $800 leap against this team, and I think it's very well justified at 8,600. I think Kleenex is a very exceptional value. So let's take a look at the stats for either one of these teams, and just for you to see their last game against the Dallas Empire, they really smoked them. 250 to 144 on the raid hardpoint, 6-4 on the express S&D, and 3-1 on the control. Absolutely smoked my team, Dallas Empire. What can you do about it, man? Ultra is just too dominant. Let's take a look at their stats. So as you can see here, they lost 2 in a row, but they lost to Atlanta, and they lost to Florida, who's actually been playing very well, very well as of late. They beat Dallas 3-0, and they are heavily favored at minus 525 to beat the London Royal Ravens. The London Royal Ravens are sitting at a plus 345. The over for this game is at 3.5, which is a favorite at minus 210. So the spread is also at minus 1.5 at 180. And I do think that this match is just going to be a 3-0. 3-0, and Toronto Ultra are favored at minus 525. If we can look at the, not sure if you guys can see this. By the way, if you guys can't see the numbers in the screen, just let me know. I'll zoom in next time even more. I don't know if you guys can see, but in hardpoint, Toronto Ultras 27-25. In search and destroy, they're 25-17, and in control, they're 20-11. Very positive stat lines here. Their best map, I would say, is Raid. Yeah, Raid is honestly their best map, as you can see here. 10-2 in search and destroy, 8-7 in hardpoint, and 12-7 in control. Yeah, Raid is probably their most played map and their best map. So if there's 2 raids in the series, it's over for London. Let's look at London stats here for a sec. So as we can see here for London, opposite side of the spectrum here, 15-21 on hardpoint, 7-22 in search and destroy, and 12-10 in control. I mean, controller's their best game mode, but I don't think they've ever won a raid here. So yeah, like I'm saying, if they ever see raid in this map pool for the game, the maps that they play in this series, London is done. Their best map is Garrison, but I think Ultra is better in Garrison as well. So as you can see, the stats, they aren't too promising for London. So yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be a 3-0 Toronto Ultra 3-0. That is my prediction for this match. Best picks here are Kleenex and Cammy, and yeah, I'm going to be avoiding the London Royal Ravens entirely, and so should you. Yeah, with that being said, let's move on to our next game, the Paris Legion against the Optic Chicago. So we have this matchup here between the Paris Legion and the Los Angeles Thieves. And as you guys can see here by the VODs, the Paris Legion's last match was a 3-1 victory over the Los Angeles Thieves. Now, we know that the Los Angeles Thieves isn't, a bad team. They're very good. So the fact that Paris Legion, beat the LA Thieves gives me a good I would say a good feeling that they have what it takes to upset the Optic Chicago. I do believe they have what it takes. Scraps, Aqua, Temp, Zap. It's a good team on paper. I really like them. They showed what they're capable of against the LA Thieves, but they have yet to prove if they can, stand up to a team like Optic Chicago and, upset them. Now, Optic Chicago haven't been on their best game as of recent, but it's Optic Chicago. You always have to respect them. Optic Chicago is favored at minus 385 to win. I think that's a little steep. And Paris Legion is a plus 265 underdog. The over is sitting at 3.5 at minus 240. So Paris Legion is favored to get a game on board, like a game one. The spread is at minus 1.5 at minus 155. And I do believe that, this match might go 3-2. It might go to the game 5. I do believe it could go to game 5. I do believe that Paris Legion has a lot of strengths that people are sleeping on. They might be feeling themselves after beating the LA Thieves yesterday, because LA Thieves is such a good team. They might be feeling themselves, and I feel confident that this game might go the distance. If we look at the scoreboard from last game from the Paris Legion here, we have them losing the first hard point, 250 to 218 in Moscow hard point. They won the second S&D on raid. They won the control 3-2 in Garrison, and they won the hard point on Apocalypse, which not very many teams play or are good at. They won the Apocalypse and the hard point. So I do believe Paris Legion, they can battle it out here with the Optic Chicago. Obviously, Optic Chicago is favored to win. I would take Optic Chicago to win in a 3-2 fashion, but you never know with these teams. It's either super close or super far apart, and I would say that Paris Legion has what it takes to win here. But as far as stat lines go, let's take a look at where Optic Chicago or where Paris Legion is sitting at first. So if we look at the Paris Legion's stats here, we see that they are 14-21. Fucking shit, bro. So if we look at Paris Legion's stats here, we can see that they are 14-21. 14-21 in hardpoint, not too great in my opinion, but as you can see here, 9-15 in search and destroy, not too great as well. 7-14 in control. So really, they're not positive in any game mode, but in Garrison, they are 7-4 in hardpoint. So if we see a Garrison hardpoint, Paris Legion always has a chance to win there. I like their chances there. I really do. Man, on paper, Paris Legion just really looks like a bad team, 3-7 in raid and control, 3-3 in Garrison control, 1-4 in checkmate control, which teams haven't really been playing recently. 1-5 in Moscow hardpoint. So if we do see a Moscow hardpoint, which I believe is Optic's best map we're about to see right now, I believe it's Optic's best map. If we do see a Moscow, that's going to be heavily inclined for me to be a Chicago win, but you never know. I mean, I would say it's like a 70% Chicago win, but they could still lose. They could still choke it. 2-5 hardpoint on raid as well. Not very good looking stat line here for the Paris Legion. As for individual players here, I would say that in the hard point, kills per minute, I would say they're all, tight. Overall KD, Aqua has the best overall KD. Hill time, you would say Scraps is more of the hill time player, so he could benefit off of those extra hill contest points. On paper, he's the one who stands in the hill most. Search and destroy. Zaptius has the highest KD, so Zaptius would probably be the best, S&D player here. And I heard a stat that supposedly since Zaptius joined the team, they haven't lost the search and destroy. So that's interesting. Yeah, and control player, who's the best control player here? I would say it would have to be Scraps as well. On the optics side, it is very hard to, gauge where Optic is really sitting at right now, because they're always getting smoked by either Toronto or Atlanta. They got smoked by Atlanta 3-0 here in their last match. It was 250 to 157 on the Moscow hardpoint. Optic's best map, I think. 6-4 on the Express Search and Destroy, and just absolutely destroyed on the Raid Control 3-0. They got smoked in their last match. I do feel like there's one player here that really stands out on Optic Chicago though, and it's Dashy at 9,200. I feel that Dashy everywhere from 8,600 to like 9,200 is a good value, because if they win this match against Paris Legion, you can bet your ass that Dashy's going to have a role in the win and a role in most of the slaying kills. So if they win, and if it goes to game 5, which I believe is going to happen, I think this is going to be a very very good play on anybody's behalf. Dashy at 9,200, I feel like it's going to be a very great value. And even at the captain position at 13,800, I feel like he's going to deliver value this match, I believe. As for everybody else, I feel like Envoy is a little bit too expensive at 9,800. I'm not sure if Envoy can meet that price tag. He's had 2 great fantasy point 100 plus fantasy point games in the past 3 games, but before that he was being very inconsistent. So I do think that Envoy at 9,800 is kind of expensive. You could have him in your captain position, and if he goes off again, it will benefit you greatly. But I think it's a big risk considering that he was very inconsistent with games prior. But I might be wrong. Since I do believe they're going to win and is going to go the distance, he might pay off. But for that price, I think there are other players in better situations for other matches who are more favored to win. Formal, 8,400. I feel like Formal has been very inconsistent too. He posted up 26 fantasy points against FaZe last match. Wow, that was terrible. That was very bad for Formal. And I don't know how he's going to fare here. I feel like his price should be a little bit cheaper, granted that he's only had 100 fantasy point games against Minnesota. Last time before that was against Seattle, and he's been very inconsistent throughout. So I do feel like Dashy would be the best play here in my position. In my opinion, I feel like Dashy and Scump, because Scump is just the cheapest, and he's probably going to get a lot of points if they win. Scump has also been inconsistent as of late. Just the Optic Chicago have been inconsistent as of late. Towards the latter end of the previous stage 3, they were doing great, but we have yet to see where they stand here against these teams like Paris Legion. But with that being said, let's look at their stats. We see their stats here. Hardpoint 25 and 19. Healthy positive stat for Optic. 17 and 16 on the Search and Destroy, and 17 and 11 in the Control. I think Optic's best map was Checkmate, which isn't really played that much anymore. I think it got replaced, actually. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but I haven't seen Checkmate in a while. Their best map, I think, is Moscow at 7-5. Other than Checkmate, 6-5 in Search and Destroy. They have not played it in Control. Oh, nobody has, I think, or nobody really likes it in Control. 11-6 on the raid Control. Very good stat for Optic. They're 4-5 on the hard point, so almost break even. Garrison, they break even 5-5. So I would say that if they play on Garrison or raid, Optic has a good chance of, if they have multiple, Garrison raids, I feel like they're going to, really stand out. And Standoff, the one game they had, they looked very strong. I forgot against who it was exactly, but they were looking very strong. So they have that going for them. But Dashi, highest KD in Control. Dashi, I believe, second highest KD in Search and Destroy behind Scump. And Dashi has the highest KD in Hardpoint. So that's why I say Dashi at that 9,200 price. Pretty good price for him, in my opinion, for this spot. Now, if we look at the Paris Legion's players, I would say that based on what we saw in their previous game, Temp at a captain position could be a good play. At 11,700, he could be a good play, but I don't think they're going to win. I just think they're going to get a lot of points, maybe. Zaptius at the captain position probably could be good too at 10,800. Honestly, Temp and Zaptius are only attractive at captain positions where they can get upwards of 100 fantasy points, in a really contrarian play there. Scraps is a monster too. Scraps and Aqua are, I would say, the workhorses of this team. But I wouldn't have Scraps at like a captain position or anything like that. And at a flex, I feel like he's been very inconsistent as well. Yes, he posted a couple hundred fantasy point games here and there. One against Minnesota, another one against Toronto. Two teams that he wouldn't be expected to play well against. So with that being said, maybe Scraps is a good play against a team like Optic. A team where everybody's sleeping on Paris. They just assume they're going to lose automatically, which I think is dumb because Paris has what it takes to beat Optic. I truly believe that. Aqua, on the other hand, as well. He's not too expensive at the captain position, 12,300. He posted 116 fantasy points against the Thieves last series. So, Aqua at 8,200 is also a good play. I would say Aqua's a good player. Yeah, if I had to pick a few players from this matchup that I would play in any of my contests, I would have to say Dashi would be number one in Optic. Scump would be number two. I would leave Formal for number 3 and then Envoy for number 4. That's from most favorite to least favorite. On the Paris side, I would say that the best play with the best upside would probably be Zaptius. I feel like nobody really ever gets Zaptius and he hasn't really shown too much, but I feel like he can start producing a lot for this team. And in Search and Destroy, he is a very good player. So I would say Zaptius number 1. My 2 would be Aqua, just because he's very cheap at 8,200 and he has high upside. And then I would say Scraps, and then I would say Temp from most favorite to least favorite. Any of these players could do in Paris Legion. They just have to make sure they push it to a game 5, because if they don't push it to a game 5, none of these players on the Paris Legion are really going to be of good value. For the team positions, I would say they're both great values. If Paris wins, they're very cheap on the team position. If Optic wins, 3,600, good price for the team position. So with that being said, let's move on to the next and final game. So this is going to be a quick one. I'm not even going to bother to look into the stats for Seattle. I do feel like Seattle is a very bad team. They're in the worst place right now. They're in last place for the CDL league, and they just have not shown any promise of getting better. So I'm not even going to give them the respect of looking into their stats. Minnesota Rocker, 9-11 on the season. Seattle Surge 5-14. Minnesota Rocker is an astounding -165 favorites. I don't know why they're so low of a favorites. This might be the one game that Seattle Surge wins by pure luck, by dumb luck. They're plus 125 underdogs. I feel like this should be a little bit bigger. I feel like Minnesota Rocker is just way much of a better team. Seattle Surge, I really don't think they win this. They might take a map. Don't get me wrong. They might take a map. Maybe it's a hard point. Maybe it's the first hard point. They might take the first hard point, and then Minnesota Rocker just wins the next 3 games. But, man, Seattle Surge is just such a weak team. They haven't really won that many games at all during the season. 5-14, I believe that's their stat on the season. I don't think any of their players are here in a good position. For Pristini's price, you could just get Priesta at 10,500 at the cap or 7,000 in the flex position. Priesta is way much of a better player with way much of an upside. Octane is too expensive. Classic hasn't really shown any promise, and Gunless is too expensive, I believe, at 7,600 as well. With that being said, I do believe that Standy and Priesta are the best values here for this team. I really like Priesta and Standy here for the Minnesota Rocker. I do believe they are the best players here in this match. Standy probably is going to destroy Seattle, and Priesta is always blowing up when he's been pricing like super cheap at like 7,000 for the flex or 10,000 for the captain spot, especially against a terrible team like Seattle. I feel like even if it goes to game 4, Priesta is gonna post like great numbers. Major Maniac is coming back, from being benched. I guess you could use him, but I wouldn't have him in the flex position at 7,600. That's just my opinion. I don't think he has that much of an upside. And Attach is a very great player at 8,200. I think Attach is one of the more valuable players. So I think Attach and just Priest just have crazy value here. One of the best values in all the slate, in my opinion. So yeah, my number 1 favorite would probably be Standy, and then Priesta, and then Attach, and then Major Maniac, in order of my most favorite to least favorite. And yeah, with that being said, I think this is going to be a 3-1 on the safe side, but it could go 3-0. Do think the Minnesota Rocker team position at 3,200 is a very, very, very safe bet. I do think they're going to smoke Seattle Surge here, and yeah, this might bite me in the ass. This might be the one game Seattle Surge finally wins, that they should not win, but who knows. That's what I think about this game, and that's what I think about all these games. With that being said, if you like the content, if you like betting content for Call of Duty on DraftKings, and if you like general esports betting content, I will be supporting other games like Valorant in the near future. That esport is popping off as well, and I will be discussing it a lot in the future in this channel. As for now, I'll keep pumping out the Call of Duty content for you guys who bet on it on DraftKings, to get like a second opinion. This is what I think of the games, and if you like the content, stick around, leave a like, subscribe, leave your feedback in the comments to give me some insight on what you think I could do better to make the viewing experience better for the audience. So with that being said, thank you guys for the viewership, thank you guys for the comments, thank you guys for the likes, and stick around, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.